So hi there everyone, and I'm gonna close this one. And I was pleased to notice that yesterday quite a few people did watch my video about the professional football betting and preparing a match day, so to say. And so I'm trying to take you through another stage or another, well, that had been several steps yesterday, so we call it stage, through another stage of this preparing a match day. And this step would be another one where I'm not yet getting into market concerns or what market thinks about it. Of course, I saw some comparison already, or I might have noticed what market says about it. But in general, and this is also my advice to you, for anyone who wants to start that business, you have to be able to compile prices yourself, or you have to try and get into this business, or understand the compilation of odds. So if I give you a random pairing from any league you are into, and anyone should be able to compile a price, and then you can still do these adjustments, or you can say rather, well, I know what market would do, and I know what I myself would do for that game, so I can foresee a deviation already. So this is a chance. There's always a chance for that. I mean, of course, what could we do? Pick a random pairing. I've done that with one Facebook user, Armando Russo. Hi, Armando, from Napoli. And I set a random game to him 2 weeks ago, or let's say 10 days ago. I don't know, via Facebook. I just typed it in, just to be, because I said to him, well, if you want to get into professional gambling, you have to be able to compile prices yourself. And so I set a random game, and I looked it up, and it was for this weekend. So the market was not yet there yet. And I said Torino against Fiorentina. And of course we have this Fiorentina tragedy, death from David Astori, that I know for a while, of course, now already, and he has been skipper, and he died in his hotel room, and natural death, and what happened, I don't know if they investigated any further. But this is Fiorentina, so they are maybe not their normal self, so I should have taken a different game. Anyway, my price, I made it out of my head, or I've done it. They are neighbors in the table and so on, and of course Fiorentina still have the better reputation, things like that. And he started with maybe even game, and I said, well, Torino will be favorites, and I said something like 220, and if you said even game, then it would be 250. And now I looked up the market price, and it was very close to my 220, or it's rather 220. You can look it up yourself. I have to answer the phone calls because I don't want to interrupt the video now. Just send a message quickly. I was closer in that one, but it could be a different one. But maybe he was not yet used to that, so maybe, you have to start and learn. Anyway, if you make a price like that, you could also say, well, he could say, I think it's an even game, but I know market are gonna favor Torino in that one. So then he would say, well, I'm taking a position, so I take the position Fiorentina. And he also said psychologically they will be motivated. So he said he somehow justified his price. So maybe he's right. Just he's ought to take Fiorentina then in this game, right? This is Asian market that I usually argue about. So there's an Asian handicap plus a quarter. I would say I tried to explain the Asian handicap somewhere else. Anyway, plus a quarter would mean he wins half his bet on a draw, and only if Fiorentina win the game, he wins the total bet. But half the bet would be a win already, which is not to ignore, not to deny. And so what was it about? So you have to be able to try and compile the price yourself, and I'm always trying that. And I have an idea of every game, but sometimes I'm totally wrong also compared to computer and also market. But usually you tend to get an idea about it. And then you also know about teams that market does respect, or maybe respect too much. Because there's, for example, I can say plenty of teams, but I could say now Ipswich Town in England Championship. They are always, market always says they are no good, but they are still making the results. They are average in table, but usually you get a good price on Ipswich. So this is because just observation, and then I know what market thinks about them, and maybe they are right about it. I do not record the stats about these games. Anyway, there are lots of these things. But the one thing to point out here would be compile prices yourself, but you can already then take a position in some sense, right? You could say also, well, I would have a low price on that one, and I do not want to have the opposite side. If you're forced to, if you say, okay, this is 1.5 goals, let's say 135 on the home side. This is 1.5 goals, more or less, the Asian line. So you have 135 on the home side, and you think this is your price. And then you say, well, I make it low, and I only want to give 135. And then you have +1.5 you would have on the away side, right? Or the -1.5 on the home side. So Asian handicap. Anyway, if you say things like that, then you say, I would not wish to take the away side. Still 135 is my price. And then market comes up with a 2-goal line, so +2 on the away side. Then you still would have to take the away side, although you tried to avoid this with making a low price. Of course, you can still say that, oh, they make even less. Okay, then my price is going to be lower, even because I don't want to have the away side. And then still, at some point, anyone in this market, and I tried to point it out in videos before, the bookmaker's view would always be, I paid this price, so I'm gonna take the other side, even if I do not want to have it. If Bayern play HSV, then the goal line is 2.25 goals Asian line, or the price on Bayern maybe 1.10. But this is the price they would still pay. And if people bet for that, then okay, go ahead, you're welcome, 1.10. I know Bayern are gonna win. I pay you 10% winnings off what you bet. If you bet €1,000, you still win 100. So to say. And then you can say, well, that's a present, so I'm going to go for it. But they will have a price. And they do not say, I'm not going to bet this side. As soon as you make a price, you're ready to pay this price. And so someone asks you, can you give me this price? Yeah, this is my price. You can bet for that. You can bet the draw. You can bet the away side. I take either one. And this is, of course, the biggest step to being a pro. Right? You take any side. This is my price. I do not favor anyone. I make my price, and this is what I think the reflects the chances, and I still have my winnings, and this is what you do. But now I've been talking a lot again. I was coming from, I do compare my prices myself, and I do not really have to compare with market. And even if I would position myself in this same moment. So I would say, well, market, I do respect market very much, and you always have to, because market is very strong. You can pretty much rely on it. This is like mass intelligence. I don't know what that is called in English. But all the people together, they make an opinion, and they get the probability about right. So it did become a bit harder to beat market. Anyway, there's still space for errors and overrating teams, underrating, or things like that happen. And so I was coming from, I do not need to look at market, and even if I do so, and I respect market very much, they say, okay, I'm ready. My price would be 190. Market is on 220, so I may go to 195 or 2.0. But I'm not gonna, there's no way I can go even higher. So even respecting the market, what it does, you still, I'm still like that positioning. I'm not simply saying, oh, market is right, so my price is 220 because this is market's price. you have to take an opinion, a position somewhere. Right? Anyway, what did I want to show you? This was, okay, I'm coming up with this again, and it seems to have to give me. We were starting with the Austrian leagues. I'm just sticking to that one, even if you say, well, that's not my league, and I'm not so excited about it. I don't even know where to start here, because I told you I need a new Office version, because this one is running out, and actually I can't even really use it anymore. The navigation here is not supported anymore. Anyway. I have to open this one file here, and I think, yeah, this was open yesterday, and I said I'm gonna use all these figures for different purposes. Right? We copied over this. I created this ranking. Yeah, it's an export from my own database. This has been exported down to here, and I think down to here, but those should be the same figures, right? 43.09, you see that it's the same figures. So this is just to make it to make it nicer, look nicer. These are the figures, right? They had been exported, so this is on 26 games. That's where they are right now. I can show this here, of course. Preview, and we were in this file yesterday, and I disappeared again. So I'm gonna close these once more, and I apologize once more, and I even closed the Excel sheet, which I didn't mean to, but there are lots of other leagues I'm doing and lots of other things. That's Germany too, and so on, and I will reappear at some point, and here I am. And what have we got? That's the table, 26 games played so far. So, no, it will take a while to find that. But I just closed, or I just, did I do to it? What's it called? I don't even know what. Anyway, they play 26 games, and that's where they stand. So this is an export, and this is how well they played, and this is in a table, and RB are the best, and so on. And this is the actual table. You can compare this, and it's also down here, this ranking, and so on. That's all that we've done yesterday. And maybe it is... I didn't explain it all, and here's my old system that creates those figures. This is the old algorithm, and the old algorithm is just based on results. So if anyone wins 3-1, it is a 3-1, that's nothing else. And in the new system, it is you can win 3-1 with a good performance, or you can also win 3-1 with a lower performance. Still the result will count, and everything is weighed out. I hope so, and there's lots of figures you have to care for, things like that. But here's what the new system rather expected. You can compare those figures even, although, well, that's the average, and 2.80 is what they played at, 2.723, and here it's a lot bigger, and that is a mismatch that causes some problems. And maybe that's also why the bet record is not so good, but the quality had been okay, but it's not marvelous, it's just average, it's no good. And also the results are not really good, especially the sides. But there is a problem that usually they do create more chances in Austria. Well, usually it started here, you see that. And simply they didn't find the net anymore. And you could always argue about that, and you could say, well, that's the weather in Austria, and as soon as autumn comes, that's bad pitches, bad weather, and whatsoever. And then they wouldn't find the net anymore. It's harder to score. But if you watch other developments, then you would see, well, it's not quite the case. You can also take Switzerland, Austria too. I could get into more details, of course, in some other video, and trying to point that out. And anyway, it's hard to explain all of that. I would rather discard this one. And here's the sorting of this. And anyway, if it comes out to 0, you see that every goal that had been missed, every chance, that's also, you know, for and against. They missed their chances, but then others got away with them, right? So anyway, this is reflected here as well in luck, and there are 2 teams rather that are unlucky: WAC, Wolfsberg, and St. Pölten, and all the others are green or neutral. But it means that these 39 goals here are what the total of the other 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams in green. The one is neutral, I would say. They come up to 39 goals. Anyway, so you could talk about lots of figures and developments and things like that, but we're not really making a step further. And yeah, whenever I think of something I would like to explain, here's my real ranking, start ranking, as I was trying to point out. I did not get into this table here, and I didn't explain it a lot better. But here are the figures of that new system, goal expectations, right? But we will find them down there. You can also witness somehow the conversion rate. This is also, yeah, it's a calculation of how well do they convert their chances, or how much do they concede, and so on. So this is the conversion rate for this game. It's a calculation of Rapid at home and WAC away. So how well, and obviously Rapid are still favored to take their chances, but they are also creating a lot more, right? Anyway, here, for example, Altach very low in converting chances. Several reasons. All of this wouldn't mean that much. It's just it comes down to figures at some point. But as I was trying to say, I'm not really yet into comparing with markets. This is all my own figures. If you see one single game here, then you see I have the distance here, for example, it's 191 kilometers. It does matter in cases, yeah. This is usually Altach. They are in very far east, so that's usually a longer distance, so they travel, and usually they go by bus and things like that. So anyway, you could do lots of things and talk about that. This is all my figures, and this is, for example, T performance, or yeah, kickoff time things, this distance. And WAC are in a bad shape. That's all red here, minus 8.96 goals. That means scoring and conceded, they are below. And points, that's even worse, or it's also very bad. And Rapid are no good, although they scored some goals or did not concede many. They still are behind in points. And the total goals, for example, goal performance, that's also below. So they did not score as many goals as I expected. So some goal drought. Sorry. And here's what this comes up to. And here's, you see this pretty big gap between old and new system. This is because the chances had been there, which the old system is not aware of. And the new system says, well, as long as they failed for quite a while, but they had their chances. Chances had been there. So that's why it's... But this is a very amazingly big gap, so I call this a contradiction. So this is not... I can't resolve that. I can't resolve it in a bet. I only say, well, neither trust this one nor trust this one, because it's too far apart. But there is some reason behind that, right? This is something, just, make you understand some of these things. The naive fallacy always means how many goals have there been in these two teams' games. So that's just 2.44. So this is a lot closer to this one. So that would mean rather trust this figure, or you could trust this one a bit more. But I would say, well, the hidden goals, the chances they failed to take, that could be more the ones you are looking for, right? Anyway, all of these figures, and you can argue about it, you can discuss it with yourself, or you can I can think about my algorithms, what's going wrong. In Austria 1, it had been very striking this year, I would say, that there is this difference. And actually, as you see here, it started somewhere around match day 10, 11 or so, right? That these goals simply went down. And it's the home side that failed to score. This is the dark blue one here. That's the home goals, right? You see that here. And they simply didn't score anymore. So, and whenever there's a mismatch, you can also be at the right end of this. But usually when there is a mismatch, you're in much more danger to get something wrong, right? Especially if it's my own figures, because this is not reflecting what market says about it, right? Anyway, market would react a bit quicker, and usually then I would still here be searching for some goals or some overs. You can see that here maybe, but the over quality had been good because the chances had been there, as this or these two lines here. You have to see which one is the expected should. No, that's home should, sorry. Home plus away should, that's the, well, what color is that? I don't know. And this is light blue, that's expected. But they are on one level anyway. So the goals should have been there. So that's why I had been good on overs, but not turning it into any winnings. So this is, yeah, you can also interpret these, and then you can still think, well, have I been wrong? Or is just fortune not been on my side? Luck, you could call it. Anyway, there's lots of these things going on here, and it was not even close to what I intended to show you this time, because this is just studying these figures, and at some point I always do, because I come by these games whenever market is there, or I start to have a look at market. What I was intending to take you through today was rather this part, and this is even more showing how did these teams do, right, in their development. And I always have these graphs, and this is for the market sides, and there's the goal line market. There are always these two big things going on. The market is very big. It grew on the goal lines. It had been sides, but it's more and more went into goal lines. And actually it is more, well, it may be evenly attractive, but the problem is that, or the good thing for me, or good news for me in some sense, is that goal lines are a bit harder to make. But I can also say, well, my algorithms are not perfect yet, but I could also say, well, over these 30 years, but you can always argue about, well, how quickly would you react, right? If home sides, like here, fail to score, would you still believe in it happening? Chances are there, they fail to take. What do you think? I mean, will this continue, or will this stop? And will this end somewhere? And this is, well, now I'm doing this, meanwhile, maybe we should, or even a bit could forget about this one step, because then the next one is more important. But I could explain quickly one of these graphs here, these pictures. They are top side, they are Red Bull, Salzburg. Okay, I'm not allowed to say that, and maybe here's something. That is, well, there are 4 lines here, right? And that makes it a bit confusing, maybe, or it starts to be. But I know how to look at it, and I instantly spot something, and which is important for me. But I will explain. Total goals expected, that's the blue one. And the blue one is well covered by the red one, which is the important fact about it. And the red one is reflecting how many goals there should have been. So blue and red are on the same level. So that means there had been games where they, with a lot fewer action. And I have to say, earlier this season you can say, well, the big teams usually, they replace, especially like Salzburg, right? They replace a couple of players. This is, I mean, all the top teams would do, but they would rather, when you think of Bayern Munich, they would rather try to replace a single position, or they do have these important players, but they rather wouldn't leave, or I don't know what to say, but they keep their style and everything, and usually, well, they if they have a replacement, they have already covered every position by another player that had been in already, so it doesn't change that much when a new season's come. That's why I wouldn't adjust them at all when a new season comes. When Salzburg go into a new season, they usually lose 3 important players, could be. They find replacements, but those replacements, they would not fit in instantly, right? Or they have to find their place somewhere. So it can happen that this team, they simply, well, they started a bit lower with the goal they should have scored. So maybe that's also a matter of efforts, which is hidden here, because this is goals to concede or to score. That's a total, right? Within their games. So if they fail to get chances, then the red one will be low. If, of course, they concede at the same time a lot more, then the red one would be high again. Anyway, at some point the team settled, and so they found as a team. They pulled together as a team. I don't know what the terms are for that. Anyway, so from then on, it was pretty regular here. What you see in the green one is the goals didn't come. So this would, once again, it would confirm chances had been there, goals did not come. This can be as well goals to score as well as goals to concede. When you see here, this is last 8 games. Results had been okay. Still, the score lines were not perfect in their sense, right? Well, anyway, you can. I could show you lots more and argue about this a lot more. But this would rather say, well, you can still trust those goals to come. So, if you want to hear my advice, but forget about it instantly again. Some goals to come. Over. In Salzburg against Austria, because these are hidden goals. Hidden because market has no knowledge of that. What is going on behind the scenes, so to say. I show you a bit more, and I actually wanted to make it a quick one, and it's not gonna work out again, and I won't explain every single one of these graphs for now, but I might get there at some point. This is still just preparing match day part 2, if you wish so. And this is actually, well, it is some kind of routine. Usually I listen to some music, and still I watch those graphs, and I remember, okay, that's Alta, I know about them, and things like that. But it's just a routine. Still, it would be not useless. Anyway, it's not useless, but it's also not, well, when I look at that, then I say, okay, this is as well a hidden over. So, but doesn't mean I necessarily go for the over. Market not there yet, but it's kind of a hidden over, right? Because red one clearly above green one. But they all would be, more or less, right? Because this league is a lot more than any other. There is a mismatch somehow, right? I don't know if I got the team's name. But I will come to something maybe a little more exciting in a second. I'm just gonna do with this routine, or get done with it. And I'll be there in a minute. In a second rather, or a couple of seconds, I hope. I mean, we can have a quick inspection of this one, right? If it's Sturm, I didn't prepare. Now you see here, I simply stop there. And so what does it tell us? It simply tells us, well, that's more or less the goals. That should have been, that's goal average. I never said that. That's the goal average of the league. So they are more or less, they are well assessed. Nothing wrong with them. Even the green one on top, so it means there had been even a few goals too many, Sturm Graz. So they are rather an underside, you could say, well, comparing to market, although they are above average. But if you want to, market knows about the you know, if you were trying to find bets, it's a different story and a different part of this work. But I'm actually here. But I'm through with that. If you see here, they are an over, but not at all a hidden one, right? It's slightly above average. Whatever they do, that's St. Pölten bottom club. Whatever they do, it's slightly above average, but they are all on one level. So it's kind of a very small over, but it's not hidden at all. So everyone knows about it. They get what they deserve, and it's little more than average, so they all know. And here you also see, well, they are not on one level, but they are pretty close, or closer than the others. Anyway, now I'm making the other part about the and we're still into this one league maybe. I have lots of other chances to create graphs here which would also tell a story. I'm at the moment I'm relying on these because they are the most telling to me. They are, well, they tell me the most, yeah, let's put it like that. And I'm gonna, okay, still preparing, and at some point I'm gonna compare with market and things like that. And this won't be an easy one to bet on anyway, because it's such a heavy favorite, and it's never really attractive to go with or against the favorites. What you see here is, well, this is pretty, yeah, up and down, upside down. No, you can't say that. Up and down, but they play at the level of. They play at the level of. Hold on a second. Plus 0.4, and actually they get the results for that, right? Results are even above. Of course, they will not quite be happy with the points they gathered. 40 points and 26. It should be a bit more. So that's a matter of distribution, but also 3-point rule hurt them. I mean, if you would fancy like 4 draws at least going to wins and losses evenly, 2 wins more to losses more, then that would be 2 points more as well, right? They would approach a level they could be happy with. Of course, they are not happy that they are in 3rd place, because that's Champions League. Yeah. Anyway, it says here, I was right about them. They are plus 0.4, they played that level, and they got there. So there's not a lot wrong with them, which people, of course, Rapid supporter would see completely differently. I mean, they would say, we're having another bad season. I mean, they wouldn't say that, because sometimes, of course, they would dream of winning the title and things like that. That's 19 points, that's nowhere near. But 2nd place, that would be least. But they might accept Austria somewhere there, but they are not even close. Or 7 points is not even that far apart, right? Anyway, this would tell me at least I was right about them, and results are okay. Plus 11 goals. I mean, you see that's 4 goals better here only, and that's 11 points more. So usually, well, they should be within range, maybe 5 points behind. That would be much more reflecting at least these outcomes, where we didn't talk about Sturm Graz yet, right? Maybe they are just lucky, which may be the case. Anyway, this graph would tell me, well, not much wrong with Rapid, so I would rather say trust the figures or something like that. But it is a bit messy, this league, and the results are no good, so why do I take this? I should take another league to get some, to make some more impression, but I'm not intending that. Just showing you what I regularly do and how much work this would be. We could now, of course, talk about Mattersburg as well. Now, I'm trying to make this point once more. We have bets on the sides, and we have, or market on the sides, and we have a market on the over-under. And these 2 markets, they are really big, so it means that people just bet on that. And I can, if you bet a side, then you usually say, well, I hope my side are gonna doing fine, right? So whenever they score a goal, you will be happy. When they concede a goal, you will be unhappy. Also about your bet, right? If you have bigger margins in these bets on the side, like 1.5 goals, so bigger favorites, like Rapid against Mattersburg, but there are better examples. If you have bigger margins, then you can say, well, the team are not really, well, I'm not on the same side somehow. If you would go for Mattersburg plus 1.5, I didn't look yet and I could do that, but I don't, maybe 1.25 because they are in a pretty good shape, so maybe even just a 1 goal line, but I guess 1.25. Anyway, if you take Mattersburg then, and they are a goal down, so you would still be winning half your bet. But they do not care for your money, right? They would like to get the equalizer because 0-1, 1-2, loss, 0 points. You win half your bets, they don't care. So they would go forward and you say, well, stay behind. I would like to win at least half of my bet. Okay, I know an equalizer would win me the bet, but I'm happy with winning half the bet. So don't go forward, but they would still do. And then Rapid are going to score the 3-1, let's say, and your money is gone. And they say, well, 1-2 loss, 1-3 loss does not matter. So you're not in line with the intention of the team. If you go for bigger handicaps, that's why I say the regular bets on the sides are usually on handicaps between draw no bet and 0.75 goals. As soon as it's 1 goal, you can say, okay, it doesn't matter. If but still, it's the margin where the trouble starts, right? They are a goal down, your bet is even. They concede a second, you lose your bet. So 0.75 is fine, and 0.25 draw no bet. But that's usually where the leagues where they play, those teams play. That's the regular Asian lines, right? That's between draw no bet and 0.75. Only if Paris Saint-Germain or Barcelona or Bayern Munich play, then you get those bigger lines. And in some exceptional cases. Here in Austria, we may have this game, Rapid against WAC, because WAC are right now pretty low, and Rapid still considered to be pretty good, and Rapid are at home, so you exceed the 1 goal line. It's 1.25, I would guess. Back to the subject. The sides are... Usually, you go with the team, right? You want them to score. You do not want them to concede. So you could watch any game where you bet on a side if it's below a 1 goal line. If it's above 1 goal, okay, there are cases when you wish other than your team, right? You wish Mattersburg not to concede the 2 goal deficit, and they don't care because they are desperate to get the equalizer. Otherwise, if it's 0.75 goals, I mean, I'm not trying to explain that again. It's just when you go for sides on these regular handicaps between 0 and 0.75, which can be plus or minus. You want the team to win, you do not want it to lose. If they lose, okay, if it's a second goal, it doesn't matter that much. And so you can watch the game. And you can always be happy if your team score, and you can always be unhappy if they concede. So, but you are going with that team. And that's way different to the goal line bets. Because in the goal line bets, or if you have a split bet, you have a bet on under and your side, right? Then you say, okay, I have that side, so I want them to score. Now they score again, and you say, well, stop scoring. I would like to win my under as well. They score a third, your under is gone. So you lost. You're even on that game, maybe, right? Because you bet the side, you win. Under and over bets are far different. Still, the market has grown on that. Why? Okay, I mean it's still football. You're not betting corners, right? Corners are way different, and you don't bet who's gonna kick off or all that rubbish people ask me about. What is the betting market, crazy bets and things like that? It's irrelevant. No one bets on that. But they would bet on goals, because goals is still the thing you somehow waiting for right? And or maybe if you're an under, you wish them away, right? If you go for the goal line market, it has grown. It is growing, still growing, or it's pretty big. Let's say like, and it is a market which is about football, and it is the thing that you want, or people usually are waiting for when watching games. Maybe you wish them away if you're an under, but still it's the thing that matters in football. Nothing else matters, say Metallica in their song. So, still it is hard to watch a game when you're an under or an over, because you're not really, well, when you're an over, you can easily say what you're waiting for. You wait for goals to come. But it's still different, right? And you say, well, the one team are attacking, and maybe it's still your supporter team, and then you wish them to score. Okay, very well. But if the other side are attacking, then yeah, would you wish them to score? You don't know. So you're somewhere. Yeah, it's not. You're not quite in it, but it's still. You can be exciting, right? To go, but it's different to the sides which are still the regular thing to go for. Still, that market is big, and maybe it is also big or growing or got bigger because people and also pros noted that market is not so good on these over-unders. So there's still some margin to make money with it. That is one thing I wanted to point out. And so we have to focus a lot more on over-under recently. Us pros, let's say. And so it's like every... And the first step I've done here, that was about over-under. That's why I'm saying here, goal line market. Nothing written yet, and I will, yeah, that's the latest step. But this is the over-under market about these two graphs. And the other two are about the sides. So I forgot about Matterspork now. Anyway, so I got 4 graphs. The first ones are about, yeah, how the team's doing in respect to the sides I might be going for, and this is on the goal lines, what we could be looking for, right? So then there has to be a certain kind of match between them, which would also explain somehow where market gets sidetracked possibly, and still you have to be very careful on that. Still, it's one part of that. And no, I didn't argue much about Matterspork, but maybe I should, or I will get back to that. But I'm gonna create another diagram, and we're here. And now I'm I could talk about this one as well, like the one from Matterspork. Here you can simply say, well, it's the results they are hard done by. It's not the way they play, right? Because they play even a bit better than I expected, because that's the blue one. So they play pretty okay. So if you look for a side to support, that would be a side to support. Simple as that, right? You still have to be careful, and maybe those bad results, other consequences, maybe whatever it means. But still, you would say, well, this graph would support me in an idea to support this side, because there's a mismatch between results and efforts. And this is what those coaches used to introduce the term when they said, in Germany at least, when they only talk about results, right? And maybe in other countries it's different. Germany, they only know the result, that's all. And so what they say, we have a crisis of results. It's not a matter of playing badly. Just our results went wrong. But media would not accept that anyway. But we found kind of an indication, let's put it like that, although Rapid, well, yeah, you still can think about it at least twice if you want to mess with Rapid. I'm gonna show a few more or quickly discuss them. Just actually wanted to show you this one step here. It's also part of the weekly work. And Rapid RB, I say carefully, although you can read this. RB are getting better results than they play, right? It doesn't make such a difference, right? Because they are so much better than all the others. So you can say, well, even with mediocre performances, we still win our games. And they are still in Europe, and they beat Dortmund on the road, and I was very pleased by that. Because I'm really annoyed by the German commentary, although the Austrians are catching up in being bad. They are terrible, like the Germans are. Anyway, the RB are focusing a bit more maybe on Europe duties. So that's why even this effort went down, and they drew 2-2 with Mattersburg. But I somehow predicted that, but not in a bet, within a bet, but rather just in arguing. I said, well, maybe they're going to rest some players. They will focus on Thursday. And they won 2-1 in Dortmund, I said that. And the return match is going to come on Thursday. And we are having Tuesday today. So 2 days, they will have another important game. Of course, we always have to keep that in mind, right? When there's other business. There's also cup sometimes. You have to be a bit more careful. So LASK, they are doing okay. They get their results. They are playing well. They are even improving a bit. They are better than expected, which is a bit curious because, well, they won promotion, and usually you should say they always overperform. So you could expect that. So I was a bit wrong with them, I have to say. And market was even better, so usually was rather a bit against LASK, and I was not right about it. I can point out here. Anyway, they get what they deserve, so you have no reason to mess with them. Admira, that's a different story, right? Admira, it's a very different story. And I don't want to tell it again, but they are getting very good results, or they did get, and they lost heavily. How many goals? 2-4 to Sturm they lost on Sunday. Well, they gone now. Which was the side? Admira. I lost them while scrolling up and down. Admira. Still, their results are clearly better than their efforts, but still they improved a lot. And so, what can I say? They improved, yeah, they got a bit better. But that's still minus 0.4 per game. That means they should lose every game by 0.4 goals, or rather have a goal difference then of 0.4 times 26, that's close to minus 10. And what do they have? Plus 1. So they should have minus 10 rather, be somewhere here. That's the level they play at. And I don't want to bore you with all that or bother you. I was just showing rather those steps and thoughts about them. And maybe we have another, well, you will not get into Austrian Bundesliga, I guess, or you may do. I do not know, and I can't foresee that. Still, I'm showing you parts of this regular work. They are well assessed. Well, they are a bit behind expectancies, but actually market early on, or pre-season said, well, they are pretty stable, they should be a bit better. But I was pretty right about them. They are below average, but not that much. Alter. And they are getting the results, right? Austria, that's a very weird story this season. And they sacked their coach now with German, not Oliver, that's Thorsten Fink. 2 weeks ago, but now they all of a sudden did get the results. Here you see that green one going up 6-0 with a new coach. Efforts have just been regular or average, and they started off maybe above average, but they went down to average, and expected to be better, of course, but the expectancies are also getting adjusted when bad results come in, but slowly but surely. bad results, bad efforts, I should say, of course, because the efforts are what matters here in that new system. But the efforts were no good, and going along with the results, which is a common thing, but it can be different, and that's what I'm trying to spot here, and that's what I'm pretty successful in doing. Still, the results have to go your way, first of all. Anyway, Sturm always had the results, green one, results, plus 0.5 and better. And their efforts had been pretty okay for a while, but recently it went down a bit, but they also had better opposition because blue one is going down, so most likely they played Salzburg, which they did, and they lost. A bit unlucky maybe here somewhere, 1-2, they lost. This one, right, two weeks ago. Anyway, they are still getting better results than efforts, while the efforts are pretty much on the blue one, expectancies. That's plus 0.25, so they should have, what is that, 26 times 0.25, I can't do that, that's plus 5, something like that, right? And instead they have plus 15, so they had been lucky for 10 goals, or like, where are they again here? There's a pretty big gap here, right, between what they should have and what they really have, plus 0.6. They should rather have plus 0.2 maybe. I don't know. But that's still 0.25, that's rather, of course, more than what I said. That's 5 plus, that's 6.5, plus 6.5, or even plus 7 that they should have, right? We know 25 times 25 is 6.25, and here we have more than 25 times 25. Anyway, plus 7, they are lucky for 8 goals. So it's just, yeah, if you look for something, well, you have to search it here, right? That's at least what I do. Getting better results than efforts, and that's an indication to go against, usually. Now we're coming to the last one, and then I'll let you off. Just to, yeah, this is very, yeah. It is still a pretty common thing, because also Köln are doing like that in German Bundesliga, and also a bit HSV, which are, yeah, they play a lot better than their results reflect. But they play their level, that's all I can say. But that level is still pretty low, because it's minus 0.8. Still minus 0.8, yeah, they should get relegated, but not without a fight, right? But yeah, they can't confirm that. But what they did over winter was even invest some money and buy some players to turn things around. I mean, you can always say, well, this season it's different here because they have a relegation, two-leg relegation game for sure, right? So they can always say until the June or May, end of May, maybe when this is played, we still have a chance because they can win the second leg of this, even if they lose the first one. So they always have a chance. So it's not maybe a useless investition. What is that? Investment, yeah. So that's not a useless investment, because anyway their hopes alive. But sometimes teams do that as well when they are hopelessly behind, and still they buy new players and invest some money, and then when the season is over, it's all going well. What is it? It's downhill. Club is gone. Busted, no more money, all players leave, because all the players they get in, they usually say, okay, we're going to play there, but not in case we get relegated. So they lose like 20 players and they have to buy 20 new ones. So they are busted for quite a while. This has been another part of what a professional gambler's life is about. And this had just been one league, and I have to do a lot more of these, but I will be quicker in the other ones. Still, I hope you get some insight, I hope you like it, hope you leave your like, hope you watch it, hope you enjoy it, and hope you come back. Thanks a lot for watching, and bye bye.